Hello. Your brother's gone. Those were the first words out of Ashley's mouth when I walked through our front door that night. She didn't even look up from her phone, just dropped that bomb like she was commenting on the weather. I stood there frozen, keys still in hand, trying to process what she just said. What? I managed to choke out. Ryan. He's dead.
Car accident.
She kept scrolling through her phone, perfectly manicured nails tapping against the screen. It happened a few hours ago. I didn't want to tell you at work. My brother Ryan. My best friend. The guy who'd been there for me through everything. Dead. Just like that. I collapsed onto our leather couch, my mind racing. Ryan and I had just grabbed lunch together yesterday. He'd been acting weird, distracted. Said he needed to tell me something important but then backed out at the last minute. Now I'd never know what it was. The funeral was a blur. Ashley stood by my side, playing the role of the supportive wife perfectly. Too perfectly. Something felt off about the way she kept checking her phone. The way she'd disappear for long bathroom breaks during the reception. But I was too consumed by grief to really notice. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that I found the first note. I was going through Ryan's belongings. His wife Emma asked me to help clean out his office. When I discovered a sealed envelope with my name on it, hidden in a false bottom of his desk drawer, my hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter in Ryan's messy handwriting. Ben, if you're reading this, something's happened to me. There are things you need to know. Things about Ashley. I've been gathering evidence, and it's all stored on an encrypted drive hidden. The letter cut off there. The bottom half had been torn away. I sat there staring at that incomplete warning, my stomach churning. What had Ryan discovered? And why did the letter stop so abruptly? That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed watching Ashley, wondering if I really knew her at all. When her phone buzzed at 2 a.m., she immediately grabbed it, angling the screen away from me. She thought I was asleep. Everything's taken care of, she whispered into the phone. He doesn't suspect anything. No, the letter won't be a problem. I found it first, tore off the important part. He'll never know. My blood ran cold. In that moment, I knew my brother's death was no accident, and my wife was somehow involved. But I couldn't let her know I'd heard. Not yet. Not until I found that encrypted drive and discovered what Ryan had been trying to tell me. First, though, I needed to figure out who Ashley was really talking to at 2 a.m. and why my brother had to die to keep their secret. Finding Ryan's encrypted drive became my obsession. I spent weeks searching his office after hours, careful not to let Emma or anyone else know what I was looking for. But Ryan had been thorough. Whatever he discovered about Ashley, he'd made damn sure it wouldn't be found easily. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Ryan's teenage son Tyler reached out to me, saying he'd found something weird while playing Minecraft on his dad's old laptop. Turned out Ryan had hidden the drive in plain sight. It was disguised as a mod folder for the game. What I found on that drive made me wish I could forget how to read. Hundreds of messages between Ashley and someone saved as AJ in her contacts. Photos, bank statements. But most damning of all, security camera footage from a warehouse showing Ashley meeting with a man I recognized instantly. Adrian James, my company's CFO. The pieces started falling into place. 3 months ago, I'd been put in charge of auditing our company's overseas accounts. I'd noticed some discrepancies, but Ashley, our head of compliance, assured me everything checked out. She'd even provided documentation proving it. Documentation that, according to Ryan's notes, had been expertly forged. They'd been embezzling millions, Ashley and Adrian, right under everyone's noses. And they'd been sleeping together the entire time. But that wasn't even the worst part. Ryan had also uncovered evidence of a much larger scheme. The money wasn't just being stolen. It was being funneled into offshore accounts linked to some very dangerous people. People who wouldn't hesitate to eliminate any threat to their operation. People like my brother who'd gotten too close to the truth. The final folder on the drive contained surveillance photos of Ryan in the days before his accident. Ashley and Adrian had him followed. They knew he was gathering evidence. They knew he was planning to tell me everything. So they made sure he couldn't. I closed the laptop and walked to our bathroom, barely making it in time to throw up. The woman I'd married, who'd consoled me at my brother's funeral, had helped orchestrate his murder. She'd held me while I cried, all while knowing she was responsible. That night, Ashley came home late again, reeking of expensive cologne that wasn't mine. She didn't even bother making excuses anymore. Just headed straight for the shower, probably to wash away evidence of her latest rendezvous with Adrian. I watched her through the crack in the door, my hand clenching the flash drive. I wanted to confront her right there, to make her confess everything. But Ryan's voice echoed in my head, warning me to be smart, to be patient. These people had killed my brother to keep their secret. If I wasn't careful, I'd be next. No, I needed to be methodical, strategic. I had access to the same company systems Ashley and Adrian had exploited. I could follow their digital trail, document everything. And I knew exactly who to take the evidence to, someone who had even more reason than me to want justice for Ryan. His wife Emma wasn't just a grieving widow. She was also a federal prosecutor. And she had no idea her husband's death wasn't an accident. Yet, I had to move fast. Adrian's network of dirty bankers and corporate spies meant word could get back to him any minute that someone was poking around the offshore accounts. But I also had to be smart. These people had already proven they'd kill to protect their secret. Emma nearly broke down when I showed her the evidence of Ryan's murder. But years of prosecuting white-collar criminals had hardened her. Within minutes, she was in full prosecutor mode, analyzing the financial records and building a case. "We can't go to my usual FBI contacts," she said, wiping away tears. "If Adrian has people inside the company, he probably has them in law enforcement too. We need to find someone we can trust completely." That's when I remembered Detective Mike Reeves. He'd been Ryan's best friend since high school, and he worked in the state police's financial crimes unit. More importantly, he'd been investigating a series of suspicious deaths connected to offshore banking. Deaths that looked a lot like Ryan's accident. While Emma and Mike built their case, I focused on gathering more evidence. Every night, I pretended everything was normal with Ashley. I'd kiss her goodbye in the morning, knowing she was heading to Adrian's place instead of the early meetings she claimed to have. I'd listen to her lies about working late, all while recording every word. But Ashley wasn't as careful as she used to be. Success had made her cocky. One night, she left her laptop open while she took a shower. Big mistake. Her password was still our wedding date. The irony made me sick. Within minutes, I'd copied everything. Emails, photos, records of wire transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands. And something else. Plans for an upcoming meeting with their entire network. The next day, I accidentally let slip to Ashley that I was thinking of taking a job with a rival company. One that would require us to move across the country. "We have to leave Chicago," I told her. "The money's too good to pass up." The panic in her eyes was subtle, but unmistakable. That night, she made an urgent call to Adrian. Thanks to the spyware I'd installed on her phone, I heard every word. "He can't leave Chicago," she hissed. "Everything's set for the 15th. All our buyers will be there. If he takes that job, people will get suspicious. We need to take care of this now." Adrian's response chilled me to the bone. "Don't worry, babe. I've got something planned for our boy Ben. Same guy who handled Ryan. Clean, quick. Looks like a mugging gone wrong. By this time next week, you'll be a grieving widow. And a very rich one. They just signed their own death warrants." The meetup on the 15th was exactly what we needed. All the players in one place. Emma had already coordinated with state police in 3 jurisdictions. Mike had his financial crimes unit ready to move. But first, I had my own plans for Ashley and Adrian. They'd taken everything from me, my brother, my marriage, my trust. Now it was my turn to take everything from them. And I knew exactly how to do it. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I'd found in Ryan's files. A contact he'd never gotten the chance to use. Someone who could help me destroy Ashley and Adrian before they even knew what hit them. "Hello," I said when the line connected. "My name is Ben Mitchell. My brother Ryan was trying to reach you before he died. I think you know why." The voice that answered was cold, professional. Mr. Mitchell, we've been waiting for your call. The mysterious contact turned out to be Catherine Chen, lead investigator for the SEC's Organized Crime Task Force. She'd been building a case against Adrian's network for years, but could never get enough evidence to move on the bigger players. Ryan had discovered her investigation while digging through Adrian's files. Your brother was going to be our star witness, she told me. His position in the company gave him access to records we couldn't get legally. When he died, we lost our best chance at bringing down the entire operation. But Ryan had left us something better than testimony. Hidden in the encrypted drive was a program he'd created, a sophisticated algorithm that could trace the money through all its shell companies and fake accounts. The kind of evidence that would stand up in court. The next week was a careful dance of deception. During the day, I played the oblivious husband, even telling Ashley I decided to turn down the job offer. At night, I worked with Catherine's team, feeding them everything we had on the upcoming meeting. Then Ashley threw me a curveball I hadn't expected. I'm pregnant, she announced over dinner, 3 days before the meeting. Her eyes were shining with tears that I now knew were as fake as everything else about her. I was waiting for the right time to tell you. I almost choked on my wine. This was a new low even for her. I'd had a vasectomy 2 years ago, something she knew very well. This was just another manipulation, probably meant to make her look more sympathetic when I turned up dead in an accident. But I played along, acting overjoyed. I even called Adrian to share the good news, listening to him stammer congratulations while knowing he was probably the actual father. That call gave Catherine's team the chance they needed to clone his phone. The night before the meeting, everything was in place. The SEC had their teams ready. State police were standing by. Emma had coordinated with prosecutors in 3 states. All we needed was for everyone to show up. That's when I got the text from Mike. They know. Someone had tipped off Adrian. Maybe one of his corrupt cops, maybe someone in the company. It didn't matter. What mattered was that Ashley was frantically packing a bag when I got home. Emergency business trip, she said quickly, not meeting my eyes. Adrian and I have to fly to London tonight. Some big crisis with the European accounts. I watched her throw designer clothes into her Louis Vuitton suitcase, knowing she was planning to disappear with Adrian. They'd take the money and run, probably to some country without extradition. Just like that, months of planning were about to unravel. Unless, let me drive you to the airport, I offered. It's pouring rain, and you know how crazy surge pricing gets on nights like this. She hesitated for a moment, probably weighing whether I was suspicious against her need to get away quickly. Finally, she nodded. That would be great, babe. You're always so thoughtful. I carried her suitcase to the car, careful to keep my face neutral. She didn't notice the brief call I made while loading the trunk, or the way I took the long route to O'Hare. She was too busy texting Adrian, coordinating their escape. She also didn't notice that we weren't heading to the international terminal. Not until it was too late. Time for Plan B. I pulled into an abandoned warehouse complex on the outskirts of the city. Ashley's face went white when she recognized it. The same warehouse where she and Adrian had planned Ryan's murder. Ben, what are you doing? We're going to miss the flight. Her hand crept toward her purse, where I knew she kept a small pistol. But the purse wasn't there. I'd left it in the trunk, along with her suitcase. No flights tonight, Ashley. But don't worry, Adrian will be joining us soon. Right on cue, headlights swept across the warehouse entrance. Adrian's black Mercedes pulled up, but he wasn't alone. 3 other cars arrived behind him, carrying the rest of their criminal enterprise. Exactly as Catherine had predicted. They'd try to escape together, using their pre-planned emergency protocol. You set us up, Ashley whispered, finally understanding. How long have you known? Long enough to know you killed my brother. I got out of the car, forcing her to follow. Long enough to find the evidence he left behind. Long enough to plan this. Adrian stepped out of his car, gun already drawn. You should have taken that job offer, Ben. Could have given you a nice, clean death. Now we'll have to make it messy. Like you did with Ryan? Your brother was weak. Too moral for his own good. Adrian's smile was cold. Just like you. That's when the warehouse lights blazed on. Dozens of laser sights appeared on Adrian and his associates as a tactical team emerged from hiding. Catherine stepped forward, megaphone in hand. Adrian James, Ashley Mitchell, you're under arrest for the murder of Ryan Mitchell, financial fraud, and conspiracy. But Adrian wasn't going down without a fight. He fired at the officers, grabbing Ashley and pulling her toward his car. That's when she made her final betrayal. She shoved Adrian toward the police, trying to save herself. The bullet caught her in the shoulder, spinning her around. Not from the police and not from Adrian. The shot came from the warehouse roof. Emma lowered her rifle, face grim. She'd insisted on being part of the tactical team. "That's for my husband," she said into her radio. In the chaos that followed, I watched as Ashley and Adrian were dragged away in handcuffs. Their entire network was rounded up. Catherine's team had everything: the money trails, the murder evidence, the fake pregnancy tests Ashley had bought to manipulate me. Combined with their attempted flight and shootout with police, they were looking at life in prison. But I wasn't done yet. 2 days later, as Ashley sat in county lockup awaiting arraignment, she received a package. Inside was a USB drive containing a single video file, security footage showing her and Adrian planning Ryan's murder. The same footage that would soon be shown to a jury. The note attached read, "Ryan wanted you to know. He found your secret. All of them. And now so has everyone else." The screenshot I received from the jail's security camera was worth every favor I called in to get it. Ashley's face, as she realized that not only had she lost her freedom and her money, but her carefully constructed image was shattered forever. Everyone would know exactly what she was. 3 months later, I sat in the courtroom as the jury forewoman read the verdict. Guilty on all counts. No deals, no reduced sentences. Emma's prosecution was flawless. Adrian broke down, begging for mercy. Ashley just stared straight ahead, her designer outfit replaced by an orange jumpsuit, her perfect makeup gone. When they led her away, she finally looked at me. I smiled and waved goodbye with my left hand. My wedding ring was gone. In its place was Ryan's ring, which Emma had given me after the arrests. "A reminder," she'd said, "that justice doesn't always come the way we expect. But it comes." She was right. Ryan's death had torn my world apart, exposed the lies I'd built my life around. But in the end, it also revealed the truth about love, loyalty, and the price of betrayal. Ashley and Adrian learned that price the hard way. They'll have 25 to life to think about it. Thank you for listening the story to the end. Write your thoughts about it in the comments and do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next videos. Bye.